Today, we are launching a campaign called HeForShe. I am reaching out to you because we need your help. We want to end gender inequality. And to do this, we need everyone involved.
What is Impact 10 by 10 by 10? It's about engaging governments, businesses, and universities, and having them make concrete commitments to gender equality.
Hello everybody and welcome. Good afternoon Facebook fans. We are live from the Facebook offices in central London on International Women's Day.
It's got to be your story. It's got to be how you personally can make a difference. The smallest gesture goes such a long way.
We're putting the movement in your hands, turning to you to help us create a world in which gender is just a spectrum of beauty and not limitation.
And we're committed to increasing the representation of women all across the company, all across the globe, in both technology positions and also in leadership positions. Women actually not only contribute in terms of participating in the labor force, they drive entrepreneurship.
You know, you can't really find peace in the world if 50% of the world is women and they're not included in the same conversation.
It's actually my letter to her. So, HeForShe.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yo, it's Lynn, and I have to laugh. How can we not be equal? We're like half. Like women are like half of the people on earth. And yes, they should have been equal since birth.
We believe that students should leave university believing in, striving for, and expecting societies of true equality.
And part of this liberation movement requires that we call out and break down these social norms and barriers to our well-being so that we may all be free to be our true selves. There's power in embracing everything we feel. These traits don't make us a man or a woman. They make us human. Thank you.
Being a HeForShe Impact Champion is so important to me because it allows me to connect the mission of our company to an incredibly powerful movement. You know, Twitter, the platform, is where inclusion lives. It gives everyone a voice, and that's why I think it's such a natural extension to the HeForShe movement. When you think about the future, you think about your kids, and I want my son and my daughter to have the exact same experience that I had which was being mentored and led by two incredibly powerful female leaders early on in my career. What will our vision look like? Well, at Twitter, mindsets will be changed, gender stereotypes will be broken down, and representation of women around the world at the company will be increased.
I have been inspired by great men like Nelson Mandela, who stood for the rights of a woman. I hate to see a girl suffer. I hate a girl failing to go to school. I hate to see a girl not doing what she can do, because I know they've got that great potential in them. In the past, when we talked about gender equality, we thought it was only addressing the issue of a woman. But this time around, we were saying men must also take a stand. Culture can no longer be overly conservative. They've got to change with time and address the issues as they arise. Since becoming a champion, I have addressed a lot of meetings with fellow chiefs. We shall commit ourselves to ensuring that there is equality between men and women, and that there is no gender-based violence, there will be no child abuse, no forced early child marriages. Once we start believing in that oneness, then everything should be all right.
كناشط في المجتمع ومؤسس لمجموعة مبادرات وحملات تطوعية، كنا دايماً عمالنا بنواجه مشكلة إنه كتير في بنات وشباب حابين يتطوعوا معنا بس ما عم بيقدروا. والسبب إنه أهاليهم عمالهم بيمنعوهم ينزلوا للميدان وينخرطوا مع الجنس الآخر. فمن هون قررنا ندخل موضوع المساواة في النوع الاجتماعي، ومن هون أنا HeForShe بدأت مشوار حملة. كرجل اتجسد دوري كخطوة أولى ضمن حركة HeForShe هو إنه نكسر الصور النمطية الموجودة في الدوائر الصغيرة اللي كنت عمالي بتواجد فيها. في المرحلة الأولى ضمن حركة HeForShe استهدفنا طلاب الجامعات داخل الجامعات بشكل خاص، وقدرنا نصير بالأردن البلد رقم 1 على مستوى المنطقة العربية. ومن الأردن في 5100 رجل داعمين للمساواة في النوع الاجتماعي وحقوق المرأة، وبنطمح كلنا مع بعض نوصل للعالم كامل كيف إنه المساواة في النوع الاجتماعي هي وسيلة جداً مناسبة لنعيش كلنا في سلام وبيئة عادلة دون وجود صور نمطية لكل من الذكور والإناث. لأنه قضية المساواة في النوع الاجتماعي هي قضية ما بتمس فقط الامرأة، بل بتمسني أنا كرجل، لأنه في كتير صور نمطية عمالها بترتسم لنا كرجال بتحد من دورنا في الانطلاق في المجتمع تاعنا وممارسة دورنا على أكمل وجه. إنه هلأ صار الوقت المناسب لنوقف كلنا مع بعض ونوصل صوتنا، لأنه صوت كل واحد فينا هو مهم في صناعة التغيير.
My aha moment actually was when we did a bicycle rally, or rather the first bicycle rally in Pune. We mobilized 121,000 people to sign up and pledge for HeForShe. At around 7 a.m. in the morning, we had 750 people who turned up. The idea behind organizing a HeForShe bicycle rally was to say that you are not stuck in traffic, you are traffic. The bicycle basically represented the two genders harmonizing. We did the first advocacy workshop on HeForShe in a rural area, highlighting the power of volunteerism through online, offline methods, as well as building a network of youth advocates. Engage people in having that conversation to end stereotypes, to take up initiatives at community level, instill a sense of, belongingness. It is up to you what you want to do once you take the pledge, once you take the commitment for HeForShe.
I work as a registered nurse at the emergency department in Reykjavik. What I can do is be a good role model in my job. When I heard about the HeForShe movement, that was actually a moment that clicked for me. Made me start to question everything that I do. Am I being misogynistic or am I stereotyping? There are some shifts that I'm the only male on duty. It being strange to be a male nurse, it shouldn't be. It should be just like any other profession. I think that's the way to get guys more into it, just to show them good role models, and that's what we've been doing here in Iceland. This is not more a female job than a male job. This should just be a job for everyone. That's the impact we make, and that's what I'm trying to do. My daughter should be able to do whatever job she wants, regardless of her gender, and so will my son. So that is my spark, and hopefully this will spark some more changes in society. And that's what it's all about, motivating guys to work towards gender equality, which shouldn't be a question. It should be equality for everyone.
And now let's turn to a young woman who has chosen to lend her voice to this very important solidarity movement. She's a leading British actor an advocate for gender equality in her own right. She's been involved with the promotion of girls' education for several years. As part of her humanitarian efforts, she's visited Bangladesh, Zambia, recently returned, as we just heard, from Uruguay on her first mission with UN Women. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to this stage our co-host and the UN Women's Global Goodwill Ambassador, Emma Watson.
Your Excellencies, UN Secretary General, President of the General Assembly, Executive Director of UN Women, and distinguished guests. Today, we are launching a campaign called HeForShe. I am reaching out to you because we need your help. We want to end gender inequality, and to do this, we need everyone involved. This is the first campaign of its kind at the UN. We want to try and galvanize as many men and boys as possible to be advocates for change. And we don't just want to talk about it. We want to try and make sure that it's tangible. I was appointed as Goodwill Ambassador for UN Women 6 months ago. And the more I've spoken about feminism, the more I have realized that fighting for women's rights has too often become synonymous with man-hating. If there is one thing I know for certain, it is that this has to stop. For the record, feminism, by definition, is the belief that men and women should have equal rights and opportunities. It is the theory of the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes. I started questioning gender-based assumptions a long time ago. When I was 8, I was confused being called bossy because I wanted to direct the plays that we would put on for our parents, but the boys were not. When at 14, I started to be sexualized by certain elements of the media. When at 15, my girlfriends started dropping out of their beloved sports teams because they didn't want to appear muscly. When at 18, my male friends were unable to express their feelings. I decided that I was a feminist, and this seemed uncomplicated to me. But my recent research has shown me that feminism has become an unpopular word. Women are choosing not to identify as feminist. Apparently, I am among the ranks of women whose expressions are seen as too strong, too aggressive, isolating, and anti-men, unattractive even. Why has the word become such an uncomfortable one? I am from Britain, and I think it is right that I am paid the same as my male counterparts. I think it is right that I should be able to make decisions about my own body. I think it is right that women be involved on my behalf in the policies and the decisions that will affect my life. I think it is right that socially I am afforded the same respect as men. But sadly, I can say that there is no one country in the world where all women can expect to receive these rights. No country in the world can yet say that they have achieved gender equality. These rights I consider to be human rights, but I am one of the lucky ones. My life is a sheer privilege because my parents didn't love me less because I was born a daughter. My school did not limit me because I was a girl. My mentors didn't assume that I would go less far because I might give birth to a child one day. These influences were the gender equality ambassadors that made me who I am today. They may not know it, but they are the inadvertent feminists who are changing the world today. We need more of those. And if you still hate the word, it is not the word that is important. It's the idea and the ambition behind it. Because not all women have received the same rights that I have. In fact, statistically, very few have been. In 1997, Hillary Clinton made a famous speech in Beijing about women's rights. Sadly, many of the things that she wanted to change are still true today. But what stood out for me the most was that less than 30% of the audience were male. How can we affect change in the world when only half of it is invited or feel welcome to participate in the conversation? Men, I would like to take this opportunity to extend your formal invitation. Gender equality is your issue too. Because to date, I've seen my father's role as a parent being valued less by society, despite my needing his presence as a child as much as my mother's. I've seen young men suffering from mental illness, unable to ask for help, for fear it would make them less of a man or less of a man. In fact, in the UK, suicide is the biggest killer of men between 20 to 49, eclipsing road accidents, cancer, and coronary heart disease. I've seen men made fragile and insecure by a distorted sense of what constitutes male success. Men don't have the benefits of equality either. We don't often talk about men being imprisoned by gender stereotypes, but I can see that they are, and that when they are free, things will change for women as a natural consequence. If men don't have to be aggressive in order to be accepted, women won't feel compelled to be submissive. If men don't have to control, women won't have to be controlled. Both men and women should feel free to be sensitive. Both men and women should feel free to be strong. It is time that we all perceive gender on a spectrum instead of two sets of opposing ideals. If we stop defining each other by what we are not and start defining ourselves by who we are, we can all be freer. And this is what HeForShe is about. It's about freedom. I want men to take up this mantle so that their daughters, sisters, and mothers can be free from prejudice, but also so that their sons have permission to be vulnerable and human too. Reclaim those parts of themselves they abandoned, and in doing so, be a more true and complete version of themselves. You might be thinking, who is this Harry Potter girl? And what is she doing speaking at the UN? And it's a really good question. I've been asking myself the same thing. All I know is that I care about this problem and I want to make it better. And having seen what I've seen and given the chance, I feel it is my responsibility to say something. Statesman Edmund Burke said, "All that is needed for the forces of evil to triumph is for good men and women to do nothing." In my nervousness for this speech, and in my moments of doubt, I've told myself firmly, if not me, who? If not now, when? If you have similar doubts when opportunities are presented to you, I hope that those words will be helpful. Because the reality is that if we do nothing, it will take 75 years, or for me to be nearly 100, before women can expect to be paid the same as men for the same work. 15.5 million girls will be married in the next 16 years as children. And at current rates, it won't be until 2086 before all rural African girls can have a secondary education. If you believe in equality, you might be one of those inadvertent feminists that I spoke of earlier. And for this, I applaud you. We are struggling for a uniting word, but the good news is that we have a uniting movement. It is called HeForShe. I am inviting you to step forward, to be seen, and to ask yourself, if not me, who? If not now, when? Thank you very, very much.
What a beautiful, beautiful speech. What a beautiful thought. Emma, pay attention.
Inequality of opportunity that is present is probably one of the most harmful things in our society. And I think as a woman, that is probably the hardest thing to get over.
This is why we have to do this from our point of view, from our perspective. If we don't change it, the attitude, then it's never going to change.
Understand that it's not always speaking out for women, but with women, alongside women, because we don't want to reinforce that dominance.
I'm a HeForShe because I have an awareness. I can't let my daughters or my wife suffer because I didn't do my job. It starts with me.
Really put yourself in somebody's shoes and say, hey, if this was my mother, if this was my sister, if this was my daughter, would I like the way she's being treated? Am I setting the right example for other young men?
If having the discussion about this topic, like that's something that we bring back, like to our neighborhoods, to our communities, to our families, because women are by right, like the pillars of our community. Like there are no men if there are no women.
I'm a HeForShe for every single survivor that I've ever met, so that they can have even the slightest hope that, a world where these conversations are not needed is, attainable.
I am a HeForShe.
I am a HeForShe.
I am a HeForShe.
We are HeForShe.
gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. Thank you to everyone that has shared their story tonight and has contributed to what has been the most heartwarming moment of my year. Good evening. Being a part of HeForShe for the last 2 years has been an incredible learning experience for me. There have been some really hard moments and a lot of amazing ones I never could have imagined. The UN Secretary General, the entire EU Commission, the NATO Secretary General, the President of the International Olympic Committee, numerous heads of state and politicians from around the world, including those that you've heard from tonight, and everyone from Usain Bolt to Tom Hanks, and now all HeForShe. We've crashed the UN website on multiple occasions. Sorry about that. We have lit up the Empire State Building, seen HeForShe in Times Square, and made it a term in the Urban Dictionary. After 2 billion media impressions, 1.1 million pledged HeForShes have made practical commitments, as have some of the world's leading universities and companies, to make gender equality a priority in their work and within their communities. Surprisingly though, it was during the hard moments that I made the best discoveries about what it means to be part of this movement. There is genuinely a spectrum of amazing feminists out there who have not only given me invaluable advice, but also broadened my perspective and reinforced my belief that we are all linked. We all belong to a long history of people who have made sacrifices, some groups much more than others, in order to make indefinably large contributions to our modern lives. We've seen seismic shifts in culture recently. I couldn't believe my eyes when I turned on the TV to see that Bud Light was plunging gender equality and equal pay as part of their current advertising campaign. We already have some amazing things happening, some amazing female leaders, but I don't know if I would have believed you if you had told me 2 years ago, before I made my HeForShe speech, that we might have the first female president of the United States. Please don't let me down, America. A female Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and possibly, for the first time in history, a female UN Secretary General. While women still only make up such a small percentage of political leadership, to quote the awesome Michelle Obama, because of these women, girls and boys all over the world will have real-life examples that women are leaders. In the last 2 years, if I have learned anything, if they have shown me anything, it is that nothing is impossible. And that's why tonight, as well as saying thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you have done, I ask you to recommit yourself to be a part of gender equality. I genuinely feel that we are closer to a gender equal world, and certainly closer than we were 2 years ago, and I know that each and every HeForShe has played such a huge part in that. I am proud to have been part of lots of amazing things in my life, but there is nothing that I am prouder of than being part of this. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night.